No! We're gonna get this right. We're gonna do this.
Kingston. He's one of the dirtiest fighters in independent wrestling.
You talk about grinding. You talk about living this rough life, all that jazz. No one's gonna outgrind you, all that stuff. My man, it's easy to say that when you grew up around used to be legends like Arn Anderson. Yeah, you heard me. Keep shooting murder ones at me, and I'll knock your jaw right off your face, partner. You know what I grew up around? Alcoholics. Junkies. I grew up around that. And I had to survive. I had to grind. You couldn't last a day in my shoes. So you don't tell me nothing about grinding. You talk about the sport of pro wrestling? That's a joke. Because every person you faced has been a child. I am a grown-ass man. And I will put you in the ground and smile. But here's the best part about this whole thing. The guy that you like to mention because you like to be best friends with the boss, Tony Khan, paid me to show up. And now he's gonna pay me to kick your ass and take that championship. Oh yeah, you wanna go? But check the Arn, I swear on my beautiful mother's eyes, if you don't shut up, I'm gouging your eye out. All right? Let me speak. Yeah. It's my time now. Real easy, relax. You've had yours. Tony Khan said to me, you know what, King? If you want to know DQ, man, that's fine by me. Just, Cody has to accept. You have to accept, because either you're an egg-sucking dog or you're an egg-sucking bitch. Oh my...
And that is how we started AEW's show tonight. What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for AEW on TNT review for July the 22nd, right? The 22nd, 2020. We are 1 week removed from Fight for the Fallen, and AEW hit it hard and hit it great with Eddie Kingston making his AEW debut, accepting the challenge for Cody's TNT Championship. I know, as well as everyone else do, I cannot do these promos justice trying to recap them, so I figured, you know what, I haven't done audio from WWE or anywhere else in a while, so why not have Eddie Kingston's words himself for you? What a great promo. Now, when Tony Khan said that one of the top professional wrestlers in the independents was going to accept the challenge, I would not put Eddie Kingston in the ring in the top of professional wrestling. But promo-wise, the dude killed it. That was a hell of a promo. Now, yes, it was a no disqualification match. These two beat the hell out of each other. Eddie Kingston, who's been in the wrestling business for 18 years, so obviously the reason they went with the no disqualification match is because, again, he's been around for 18 years and has done all that he can do. So having him go out there and have a traditional match would have exposed his weaknesses, and putting him in a no DQ match, it kind of hides that, so Eddie Kingston can go out there and show you what he would bring to AEW if AEW signs Eddie Kingston. Which, wow. When it comes to Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks, who both were the last time we saw Eddie Kingston, if you actually were watching NWA Power, was the Superpower episode they put on NWA's YouTube channel, what was it, about a month and a half ago? When he was still part of the NWA. Apparently, he's not a part of the NWA anymore. Could they possibly sign Eddie Kingston to AEW? That would be fantastic. The dude is money. He is going to, he's a good wrestler. He's not one of the greatest wrestlers, but he's a good wrestler. Hell of a promo. If they want him to be a sporadic wrestler, but they also want to, because he used to manage Santana and Ortiz for a bit in TNA Impact Wrestling, on the second run of LAX. And then when Conan came back, to confront Kingston, he brought back Homicide and Hernandez, and it was the OGs versus the new version of LAX, which that match that those four men had was holy shit. But yes, if Eddie Kingston signs with AEW, that would be fantastic, especially since they're doing this whole manager thing. You have Tully Blanchard, you have Vicky Guerrero, Arn Anderson, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford swap places with managing each other when they go out there to wrestle. Eddie Kingston, and say when the Inner Circle breaks up, maybe he manages Santana and Ortiz again, gets back to that. Maybe he brings in Homicide. Maybe somehow they can bring Supermax in Hernandez, get that going again. Who knows? This is only good things. There were actually people calling for this guy to be hired, and I would agree. I have not seen much of Eddie Kingston wrestle. The first time I saw Eddie Kingston at all was during Impact Wrestling, right before I stopped watching it, where it was him and James Storm and Bram. I think it was Bram, who were dressing up and doing this whole TikTok. I can't remember what the name of the faction was. It didn't last very long. But yeah, him coming into AEW was that was great. People were thinking Warhorse was going to be the guy who did this tonight. That did not happen. There is going to be a TNT Championship match next week, as there is almost every week. So maybe, just maybe, one of these names that we didn't get this week will be there next week. Now, we did have the match. Now let me get to the match because I passed all the promo and stuff because I'll let you hear the promo. It isn't a DQ match. Kingston attacks Cody before he even gets announced. The two spill out onto the floor. Both sides trade some punches. Cody sends Kingston back into the ring. Kingston takes him down with a single leg and punches him in the corner. Kingston lands a bunch of chops. Cody with an uppercut. Disaster kick lands, sending Kingston out to the floor. Cody hits the ropes and lands a suicide dive missile drop kick by Cody. Kingston checking on his knee. Definitely selling that for the rest of the show. The rest of the match, which, gee, that's something we don't see in WWE. Eddie Kingston, whether it was legit or it was just whether it was a worked or shoot injury, the dude sold it as if it was 100% legit. You don't see that. There are multiple times we criticize like a Seth Rollins, anybody else. I can't think of off the top of my head. I know Dolph Ziggler sells all the time, but a lot of these guys, men and women, Charlotte doesn't sell anything. A lot of criticism that Charlotte gets nowadays because she refuses to sell anything. Eddie Kingston showed you that, hey, selling is what you should be doing, just like Jon Moxley and Brian Cage last week. Selling helps tell the story. But Cody takes the weight belt off and brings it out to the floor with him. Kingston takes the belt and smacks Cody. Cody gets, the first smack, Cody gets up and just has this look of motherfucker on his face. He is ready to knock this guy out, but he eats a chop to the head, the chest, and he hunches over again, so Eddie Kingston hits him again, throws the belt away. Kingston then removes the protective padding, looks for a move, but looks for probably a power driver or a power bomb onto the concrete, but gets back body dropped onto the concrete himself. So, typical wrestling logic. You set something up like a table, a chair, pulling the mat back, and you usually are the one to eat that, unless it's fighting somebody off. Back in the ring, Kingston gets the momentum back and works over Cody, kicks to the back, Dragon Sleeper locked on to Cody. Cody is able to work his way out of the submission, throws a few shots. Kingston with another eye poke, he tries the back suplex. Cody lands on his feet and hits a chop block on Kingston's already banged up leg. Cody then sends him across the ring, but his leg goes out. Cody goes over, and it was all a ruse. His leg didn't go out. He was just baiting him in. Big low blow by Eddie Kingston. Kingston goes under the ring and pulls out a bag. And if you're anybody who's been watching wrestling over the last 10, 15 years, maybe even 20 years, the bag is either one or two things. Thumbtacks or glass. We got thumbtacks. TNT, we had thumbtacks tonight. So I'm thinking, wow. This will be interesting. I don't think we're actually going to see anybody go through this. But Kingston goes over to Cody. He's yelling at him to fight him while landing some more shots. Kingston tries for a body slam. Cody gets out of the drop kick to the knee. Kingston then gets Cody, picks him up, and powerbombs him into the thumbtacks. Oh shit, that was brutal looking. I commend Cody for taking that. I commend all that for this spot to happen and not to be censored or anything, because it's great to see this every once in a while. So kudos to Eddie Kingston, and Cody for this entire spot right here, and TNT for not going, well, we got to cut away. Cody has a whole lot of them on his back, his arms. Cody is sent into the corner, but somehow lands a big clothesline. He goes for the figure 4. Kingston with some slaps to the face. Cody fires back to himself. Cody then is able to lock in the figure 4. Kingston fights for a minute, and then he taps out because it's the bend your knee that is taking all the damage from the figure 4. And Eddie Kingston taps, and Cody is your winner. Beautiful, hardcore, no disqualification match. Of course, it was done because of the age of Eddie Kingston. Why do you think The Undertaker, for the majority of his matches that he has, are no holds barred or anything goes or any other type of stipulation they can get? Because it hides the weaknesses of the older veteran. Kingston's been around for 18 years. The dude's not a spring chicken. And this was great. Like I said, if they sign Eddie Kingston, it's only good things for AEW. Do they need him? Possibly. No, not really. But if they can sign him, that's great. AEW has a stacked roster, and boy, when we get to next week, when we get to what they have going on for next week, you're gonna be like, wow, who's gonna watch NXT live when you can watch that tape when AEW is where it's at? So again, if they sign him, he doesn't have to wrestle all the time. He could be the manager of somebody. I don't care who. I mean, we already have Tully Blanchard, like I said. We have Arn Anderson, Vicky Guerrero. And it's just like, hey, one more. Managers are good. That wrestling needs managers. And Eddie Kingston, they could find anybody. A Griff Garrison, a Sabatelli, Sabi. They could find any heel, babyface, or whoever they want to team up with him, who isn't really good on the mic, but works well in the ring, and Eddie Kingston will build them up to make them the next legit star, as well as helping them in the promo game. Because if anybody coming in you want to pick the brain for when it comes to working, cutting a promo, Eddie Kingston is definitely got to be on that list, along with Jericho, Jon Moxley, and Cody. Speaking of Jon Moxley, we are backstage, and he says he's the kind of guy who, when he says something, he'll do it. Just like when he told Taz that he was going to tear Brian Cage's arm apart. He says, Taz, you're the manager of the year because you've prevented the inevitable. He said Cage was this close, putting his fingers real close together, away from another 6 months of rehab. And Taz made the right call by throwing in the towel. But next time, Moxley says, as he puts the title over his shoulder, I ain't gonna let go. MJF versus Griff Garrison with Wardlow. Before the match, MJF gets the mic, tells Garrison he looks ready to go, but he's a bit nervous. It's understandable, though. Because he's doing with a prodigy. MJF then asks how Jungle Man, ask the Jungle Man to tell his fans who he is. Garrison says that's not his name, I'm Griff Garrison. MJF's like, oh, well, I'm sorry I got your name wrong, but at least I'm not trying to be an MVP, trying to tell you I'm the Ivy League MVP. Laughing about that. And he asks Griff, how cool is it to share the ring with someone who is undefeated? Garrison brings up MJF. Well, didn't you lose at Fight for the Fallen in a tag team match? And he's like, oh, that's right. And nails him with the microphone, and then we have a match. Bell rings, MJF launches Garrison hard into the corner, then chokes him with his boot. MJF continues to work over his opponent out of the floor before finally sending him into the ring. MJF takes the microphone and tells Garrison they may have gotten off on the wrong foot. He doesn't appreciate Garrison saying he's been beat. I've never been pinned. I've never been submitted. He then wants Garrison to tell everyone he's undefeated. Garrison smacks the microphone away. MJF then steps on his fingers and tells, as Griff Garrison yells out in pain, MJF yells one more time to say it. Griff finally says, after a couple more beatings, you're undefeated. What? I didn't hear that. You mean to speak louder. And he says it a lot louder. Now, Griff pops the microphone back in MJF's face, rolls him up for a 2 count. MJF is back up and swings away on his opponent before moving him to the apron. Gets him into a powerbomb position as he's while he's hanging on the ropes. Jumps up, hits down with the Heat Seeker, which is a power driver variant, for the 1, 2, 3, and MJF is your winner. Backstage earlier in the show, which Tony Schiavone is with Rebel about Britt Baker and how she's doing after her nose surgery. She goes to talk about Baker yells for Reba, get in here. Baker tells us about her role model and how she's able to finish out the match after her nose was being busted open a couple months ago. Remember that match she had with Sheeta, and Sheeta busted her nose? It was all over her face. They made a t-shirt out of it. It's probably at shopaew.com. There's your cheap plug. And she tells them both to shut the hell up. She says she's the Michael Jordan and nobody should count her out, just like nobody can count Jordan out as out of all out. So Britt Baker is saying on September 5th we will be seeing her make her in-ring return. It's got to be her and Big Swole. I mean, come on, that's what they're building to. That's all you can say they're building to is Big Swole versus Britt Baker at All Out. It's the only thing it could be. Of course, Britt Baker is going to win that match, or should win that match, but that's all I'm going to say about that. Taz says he and Brian Cage had some issues as they come out to the ring. He threw the towel in on Brian Cage because it was a business decision. Brian Cage was seconds away, and Taz gave Moxley props for having a badass submission on Brian Cage's arm. And he threw the towel in because he did not want this machine to have to deal with a torn bicep again and be out for at least 6 months. Taz knows how it feels. He had his bicep torn before. So he doesn't want that to happen again, and it will never happen again. He will never be in that position again. And he'll be damned if he was going to stand in the ringside and watch Cage's bicep tendon torn for a second time. So, Darby Allin's music hits. He comes out. And before he can even get in the ring, absolute Ricky Starks from behind hits him so hard that Darby Allin goes right into the ring ropes. That looked absolutely brutal. That did not look pretty at all. Cage then powerbombs him onto the ramp area, and then picks him up, and powerbombs him again into the ring. So Ricky Starks grabs him, picks him up, and plants him with his finishing maneuver, which I don't know what the name of the finisher is. He then grabs the skateboard, gives the Cage, but before anything can happen, we see the world champion Jon Moxley run out from the crowd, which, yes, there is a crowd, a small crowd, but there is definitely a crowd, and it makes such a difference. But anyway, with a barbed wire bat, and chases everyone off. Commentary noted that Starks looks like to have a business relationship with Taz. It was noted that Stark helped Cage out on Dark last night. If you did not watch Dark last night, Darby Allin beat Robert Anthony. Brian Cage came out to beat the hell out of Darby Allin. Robert Anthony tried to get involved. Ricky Starks pulled him out of the ring and threw him into the ring steps. Then went inside and hit his finisher on Darby Allin as well. After Brian Cage hit 2 consecutive power bombs onto Darby Allin. So Taz has got himself a little group here, and should be interested to see what happens with them. It was announced that AEW this summer, which they're running out of time because summer is all of next month and the beginning of September, but there's a 16-woman, 8-team women's tag team cup tournament, the Deadly Draw. Now, this saddens me because outside of your Nightmare Sisters, which needs to stay on Dark, the only other team that was consistently teaming together was Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. And unfortunately, Chris Statlander, a couple weeks ago, tore her ACL. It is going to be out. So, and if she would not have been injured and we have this deadly draw tournament going on, Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida would have been odds-on favorites if it's called a Deadly Draw. So I don't think that means that if there's an established tag team like the Nightmare Sisters are supposed to be established, that they're going to actually be teamed together. I could be wrong. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what's going on out there. But, yeah. This was... I'm not going to shit on it. I'm not going to get mad about it. Let's see how they do it. I think AEW would do a much better job with this women's tournament. I mean, the Mae Young Classic that NXT has done in 2017 and 2018 were two great tournaments, and they all featured, and it was just an all-women's tournament, and it was great. And it sucks that they didn't do one last year for the women, because I think WWE should have been a third Mae Young Classic, but that's neither here nor there. Let's see what AEW can do for their women's division this summer. They did not specify when matches are going to be taped, when matches are going to be done. All we know is it's going to be this summer. So let me know in the comment section what you think of the Deadly Draw, an 8-team AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament Cup. Why is it a Tag Team Tournament Cup? I don't know. Unless you're going to be introducing Women's Tag Team Championships, what's the difference? I just don't know. So, backstage, Chris Jericho is with Alex Marvez and the Inner Circle, and he is not having a good time. Why? Because of what happened last week. And instead of me talking about it, we're going to add this to our lineup of sounds this week. Let's have Jericho tell you himself.
Yeah. I don't want to hear any of your dumb questions today, Marvez. I got a question for you. What color is this jacket?
Jacket looks orange.
Yeah, and what color is it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be white.
Yeah, exactly. This jacket that's supposed to be white cost me $7,000, and now it's ruined because of Orange Cassidy. So now I'm going to ruin Orange Cassidy's career. You understand me? He wants to embarrass the demo god on national TV. Well, now I'm going to embarrass him. And on top of that, tonight, the Inner Circle is going to embarrass the Jurassic Express. Because they thought it was so funny that Le Champion got doused in orange juice. Marco Stunt called me an idiot. He was laughing. Well, you know what's funny? You know what makes me laugh? Marco Stunt's mutated bulbous head. Jungle Boy's stupid sideburns straight out of a 70s stag film. That's funny. And you know what else is funny? The Luchasaurus isn't really a dinosaur. Sorry, kids. But it doesn't matter, because either way, tonight, we're going to make him extinct. Do I still smell like orange juice?
Yeah.
Damn it!
What do you want me to lie?
Oh, yeah. That's fucking hilarious. So, and come on, Jericho, why you got to do that to the kids, man? You gotta let the kids think he's a dinosaur. That's the whole shtick, man. But obviously, the Jericho and Orange Cassidy stuff is far from over. So that was that with Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle. We will see them later in the show. So we go. I really took a commercial break, or we go straight to the Young Bucks, who are looking for the Butcher and the Blade, because they have a Falls Count Anywhere match tonight, which of course stems from last week, where the Butcher and the Blade were attacked from behind by the Young Bucks, so FTR could get their vehicle back. Now the Bucks with referee Matt says they want to get things going right now. They end up in the kitchen where the Butcher and the Blade are working or cutting or hanging out, and looks like they're cutting stuff. One had a meat cleaver or whatever, and it's like, okay. The two teams start swinging away on each other. Nick kicks the table into the blade. The Blade leaps off into the leaps off it on the Butcher, but he's caught and sent down to the floor. Blade powerbombs him on a metal table, covered 2. Things spill out of the kitchen. Both teams battle around the backstage area. Matt gets thrown into the back of an 18-wheeler. Nick gets sent into the side of a truck as Blade and Butcher look to have gained some control. Matt comes running out of the trailer and hits a senton down on both opponents. Blade sent into some metal equipment. Nick with a cookie sheet upside Butcher's head. Butcher is put on a table. Matt leaps down on him with a leg drop while using the cookie sheet. Why do people use cookie sheets? Don't those things, yeah. but the table doesn't break. Blade trying to get away and makes his way to the escalator. Double super kicks, knocks the Blade as he is taken away on the escalator. They hit him on the one, then is going up. So, double super kick and going up. The two teams make their way back to ringside. Blade uses a chair on his brother, on the brothers. Butcher brings out a table and leans against it and against the barricade because we are now out at ringside because we're in a Falls Count Anywhere match. What is the one thing that always seems to happen in a Falls Count Anywhere match? No matter where it starts, it always ends up back in the ring. Every time. Nick sent over the barricade. Matt almost powerbombs through a table, fights his way off and drops Blade. Nick jumps off the barricade with a spinning heel kick. Blade goes for a senton out of the ring and there's nobody there. He barely clips the table, doesn't break, but it landed weirdly. Butcher then does a running crossbody, putting Matt through another table leaned up against the barricade. So this is all hell has just been breaking loose this entire match. Butcher tripped up by Matt. Nick launches a chair into the face. Nick with a flurry of kicks, bulldog dropkick combo. Cover 2. Matt looks to have a busted nose. Blade works back into the match, sends Nick over the top rope, then clotheslines Matt out of the ramp. Powerbomb neckbreaker combo on Matt out on the stage. Butcher and Blade bring out some more tables, one from each side of the piping area. Everyone is landing big shots now. Double super kicks on the Butcher. BTE trigger onto the Blade. He looked like he was dead right then and there. The BTE knee knocked him out. The BTE trigger. They both put on tables, double super kick, put on the other table. Nick and Matt each climb up the stage scaffolding. Elbow drop by Matt. Nick Jackson with a senton bomb, a swanton bomb. 1, 2, 3, and the Young Bucks beat the Butcher and the Blade. So, good match. Definitely a heck of a match. Both teams went out there and damn near took each other to the limit, killed each other. Falls Count Anywhere matches can be fun. This one was a fun one. It's like, but it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Do we need you to go to the ringside? No. I would rather them beat the hell out of each other throughout Daly's Place. And what would be really great, because they are connected to the football stadium, start in Daly's Place and fight to the football stadium. Fight to the end zone. Fight to somewhere. Just like coming back to the ring is just like, what's the point of a Falls Count Anywhere? I mean, yes. They ended it up on the ramp area, the entrance area where everyone comes in. But come on, give me a Falls Count Anywhere that ends nowhere near the staging area. Well, we don't have this video clip. So backstage, Lance Archer with Jake Roberts talk about Alex Marvez. Roberts talks about Archer being really frustrated, sitting around like used furniture while he's talking. Archer walks into a locker room and just starts beating the crap out of Jobber number 1, Jobber number 2, and Jobber number 3. And Archer comes over, mumbles some stuff, says everybody dies, and walks away. Diamante, however the fuck you say her name, versus Ivelisse. This is the first time we've seen Ivelisse since, I believe, the Women's Battle Royal at AEW All Out last year. But this match pretty much is coming from the fact that Hikaru Shida last week said that she wants women to step up. She is the champion. She is not afraid to take on anybody and everybody, and that is her plan, to just fight everybody. So Ivelisse swings away on Diamante, but Diamante fires and hits an arm drag. Ivelisse gives one back to Diamante. Commentary cuts to Big Swole, who is still at home due to her suspension. Says what bothers her about Baker is that she thinks she can get away with anything and not to worry about the consequences. Swole says at some point, brittle Brittany's fragile ass is going to have to meet her in the ring and face some consequences. As I said, that is your match for Britt Baker at All Out. On the floor, Ivelisse with a big shot. Diamante hits back and sends her into the barricade, then the apron, back and forth chops from both women. Back in the ring, Ivelisse drops Diamante, cover 2, kick to the back, and a rear naked choke is locked in. Diamante gets out of it, then wrenches on Ivelisse's neck. Flurry of shots from both wrestlers. Diamante lands a couple of clotheslines, then release German suplex, 2 count. Ivelisse lands a powerbomb, cover 2. Ivelisse hits the ropes. Diamante charges her quick inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. it was an okay match. Cheap win, I think, for Diamante. I don't know what they're doing with these two women. I mean, Ivelisse is somebody that I know certain other YouTubers have been asking for her to be brought into AEW or WWE. Maybe this is the step in that direction. Who knows? Maybe we see Ivelisse on Dark next week. Who knows? This was all taped. Everything we saw tonight was taped last week. This was the off week because they did Fight for the Fallen last Wednesday, and then the next day they did this episode. And you know when they're in the middle of a taped episode because Excalibur decides, I'm going to tweet along while the show's going on. So, we move on to Hangman Adam Page versus 5. Why is this match happening? Why is Hangman Adam Page taking on Alan Angels, a.k.a. 5, or Alan 5 Angels? Who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Just call him 5. But a couple weeks ago on Being the Elite, Hangman Page ran into Brody Lee. And he told Brody Lee that back in December or November, he signed up. He went to jointhedarkorder.com, put in all of his information, signed up, was going to join, wanted to join in and everything because his life was going to shit. He wasn't happy and just wanted to have better opportunities. And Brody Lee was like, well, we still have opportunities, man, if you want to join. And Hangman Page is like, you know what, I'm in a better place now, but thank you anyway, and walked off after calling him a leader of a cult, and that was that. Brody Lee, of course, then goes to his minions and gets pissed off and is like, man, we could have had this guy. And that is where this is coming from, and I wish they wouldn't, unless I missed something, they didn't really explain why this match was happening. It was happening. But yes, that was what's happened so far, why they were doing this. So this match, it didn't last very long. Not going to really go into it. Not much happened on it. It's not what happened during the match. It's what happened after the match. Page with a big last ride style powerbomb, cover 3, and that was that. After the match, with the Dark Order of Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and 10 all came out during the middle of this match. Us sitting there, and Mr. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana come out, and Brody Lee's got some words for Mr. Hangman Adam Page. Let me get this queued up right. Of course, the Dark Order are not happy with Alan Angels losing to Hangman Adam Page.
And of course,
let me get this.
the man up.
Try not to get copyright claimed here.
Nothing but impressed with you. I was impressed by that match. I was impressed by your rise to stardom. But what I am not impressed by is your lack of friends and your lack of a tag partner when you are clearly in immediate danger.
Yeah, it's like a 6 or 7-on-1 attack right now if you added Colt Cabana and Brody Lee into the mix right now.
I didn't say I was going to hit you. That's not why we're here. But what I'm here to ask you, to offer you, is that the Dark Order can protect you.
Uh-oh.
And we would never once leave you alone. Not at a bar and not in this ring. We would never leave you alone. So that's what we are here to offer you. Hey man, I appreciate the compliments and all. And I appreciate the offer of friendship, but to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm really ready to join a cult right now.
Somebody's
Wrong
not
choice
happy.
of words, I think.
Cowboy, if I may call you that, you just made your bed, and I hope you enjoy your sleeping.
Wow. That's not a threat, that's a threat. Yeah. More a promised threat.
So what eventually happens is Brody Lee takes Colt Cabana. He says something to Evil Uno. He takes Colt Cabana and they walk off. So Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, 10, and the John Silver and Alex Reynolds all come down to fight Hangman Page, who ends up fighting him off for a good bit. Then out comes FTR. Not even Kenny Omega yet, but FTR. FTR helps get rid of the Dark Order. Then, only then, does Kenny Omega come out. And then FTR shares a beer with Adam Hangman Page, but when Kenny Omega wants one, they totally ignore him. So they're planting the seeds for Hangman Page and Kenny Omega's breakup. It's going to happen soon. It has to happen soon. This has been going on long enough. So, next week, here's what we have for next week. There'll be a match added at the end of the show. But at this time in the show, and they do this every time before the main event, which makes AEW so much better than Raw, SmackDown, and NXT too. They give you the entire card for next week. You don't have to go into Wednesday night next week and go, gee, I wonder what matches are going on outside of the main event or a match here or a match there. What is going to be happening next week? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen next week. Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega will put the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line against Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Hikaru Shida will take on Diamante in a non-title match. Diamante, of course, won last night in Dark and won tonight on AEW. Darby Allin and Jon Moxley will take on Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. It's not just a normal tag team match. This is a Texas Tornado match. Which means, if you don't know what a Texas Tornado match means, it means that each man can be in the ring at the same time. Winner is by pinfall or submission. That is that. Cody will also defend his title again next week against To Be Determined. We got Eddie Kingston this week. Who could we possibly get next week? I am excited to see what happens there. That is all we knew at this time. It is time for the main event. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager taking on Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. So, Jericho and Jungle Boy get things started. But Jericho starts the attack first, but Jungle Boy lands a flurry of shots, then sends Jericho reeling into the corner so he can tag in Hager. Luchasaurus also tags in at the same time, so we go from the smallest man to the big men, and it's a hoss fight. These two are just big shots, big hits, kicks, fight, everything. Hager able to drop his opponent and get an ankle lock submission. Jericho tags in and gets a few shots in, then brings Hager right back in. Luchasaurus fights back, but chop blocks by Hager brings him down. Jungle Boy able to tag in, lands a Hurricane Rana on Jericho. Cover 2, kicks, send Jericho into the ropes, ducks a clothesline, suicide dive onto Santana and Ortiz. Leaps in for a swinging DDT. Stunt now gets involved when the referee was distracted, nearly cost Jericho the match. He hits, I believe, a Hurricane Rana onto Chris Jericho and yells, but Jericho punches him in the face, knocking him to the floor. Jericho with a delayed vertical suplex on Jungle Boy, cover 2. Jungle Boy put up on the second rope, chop to the chest. Jericho heads up, tries for a superplex. Jungle Boy drops Jericho down face first, then hits a big crossbody, cover 2. Luchasaurus ears look a bit to be bleeding a little, pretty good. Jericho's able to get up and tag Hager in. Elbow drop by Hager. He works over Jungle Boy. Tosses him into the corner, charges in, nobody home. Jungle Boy tries for a tag out. Hager knocks Luchasaurus back down. Jericho tags in. He knows he now has his trusty bat. Aubrey stands between Jericho and Jungle Boy. She's shoving Jericho now and tells him to ditch the bat. Back suplex by Jericho. Jungle Boy rolls up Jericho. 2 count leaping clothesline. Hager is able to get the tag, lands some big knees on Jungle Boy. Jericho gets in and they chop away at Jungle Boy. He's able to land a double DDT on both guys and tags on Luchasaurus, who keeps both opponents on the ground. He tries for a double chokeslam, but they break free. He lands multiple kicks on both guys. Everyone is dropping everyone. Now Ortiz and Santana yell at the referee. Stunt then hits a drop kick on Jericho. He goes right into a roundhouse kick by Luchasaurus. Spinning kick to the head. Cover 2. Jungle Boy out. Both Santana Ortiz. Luchasaurus for a clothesline on Jericho. Then all of a sudden, Serpentico, who are believed to be Serpentico, jumps off the apron and whacks Luchasaurus on the back with Jericho's back. Jericho hits the Codebreaker. 1, 2, 3. It looks like possibly the Inner Circle has gotten a new member. Or is it? Post-match, Inner Circle beat up Jurassic Express. Serpentico goes to the top and hits a shooting star press. And as soon as you saw the shooting star press, you knew that's not Serpentico. That's not Serpentico at all. He stands up. He takes the straps off the mask, pulls the mask up. The Spanish God has returned from his month suspension. Sammy Guevara has returned. And there's a real good picture because we saw it from the hard cam, but there was somebody who was like the photographers or something who snapped a really good picture from the side, from like the left side, of Jericho's reaction when Serpentico's mask comes off and it's Sammy Guevara. And he just has this look on his face like a kid on Christmas. It was a classic photo. I might even use it as my thumbnail. That was a hell of a picture right there. After Inner Circle continued to beat up the other group, Orange Cassidy's music comes out, which I couldn't, and he comes out. Best Friends run ahead of him, and the Inner Circle bail out the ring. Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy versus the Inner Circle is signed for next week. That should be your main event of AEW next week. The two sides draw. You see the Inner Circle with flipping off the guys in the ring, and that is how the show went off the air. Now, Serpentico is a real guy. Serpentico is a real character, a real another person. The fact that Sammy Guevara shows up here tonight in Serpentico's mask. Now, I didn't see any of this, and I'm sure there's going to be people out there who's going to be like, wait a minute. Sammy Guevara has been suspended the last month. Serpentico has been wrestling on Dark over the last few weeks. How do we know they didn't have the real Serpentico and this is actually, it was actually Sammy Guevara wrestling under the mask? I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure Serpentico has been actually wrestling in AEW. This is going to be something that AEW is going to need to address because there's going to be people out there, which a lot of people, and I saw a lot of people just happy to see this guy back. No reason this guy needed to be suspended for something that happened 4 years ago. If they wanted to fine him and pay that to a charity or whatever, that would have been fine. The suspension, in my opinion, was ridiculous. It was. But it's done. It's over with. The Inner Circle feels complete again. Honestly, in my opinion, with Sammy Guevara left for that entire month, he missed out on a pay-per-view pay for sure because I'm sure they were getting. He would have factored into Fight for the Fallen and those shouldn't. I shouldn't say pay-per-view pay, but I say special show pays because he did miss Double or Nothing too. Yeah, he did miss Double or Nothing, so he missed out on pay-per-view pay because he missed Double or Nothing for sure. So it's great to see Sammy Guevara back. He's been gone. He's served his time. I don't want to hear anyone be like, oh, well, then the AEW, how do we know AEW actually had the real Serpentico and we didn't have Sammy Guevara dressing up as another character just to keep him in the loop? Nah, this is classic. People have done this before. Fuck. And New Japan Pro Wrestling just did this at Dominion while having Dick Toga cosplaying as Bushi, even though anybody in their right mind knew that wasn't Bushi. And just the fact that the way Serpentico was like just bobbing his head or back and forth told you that was not Serpentico, that was Sammy Guevara. Now, if the real Serpentico was never working in AEW and it was Sammy Guevara the entire time, dude should be commended for his acting skills to not slip up and act like himself under the Serpentico mask. It was a great reveal, a great way for them to bring back Sammy Guevara. Hell of a way to bring this guy back. I can't wait to see what happens. Again, AEW, sign Eddie Kingston. This guy killed it tonight. Listen to it for yourself. I did play the audio right then and there. What's going to happen with FTR and the Hangman? It looks like they're hopefully finally going to bring this to an end very, very soon. I don't think it needs to last. I don't think Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega's tag team needs to last till All Out. That's September. We are in July right now. We have another month to go. Next week, I wouldn't care if the Dark Order won the titles, keeping them until we got to All All Out in September, and they lost them to like the Young Bucks or FTR or somebody else. End the Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page thing. It's done. It needs to be over with. They have run their course. Are they going to get along or they are not going to get along thing has run its course, and it's time to move on. But that is your AEW on TNT review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter as The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys Friday for probably one of the worst shows ever, SmackDown on Fox. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.